Hey everybody, Asher here, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, and welcome back to anyone who is coming back here from the first, second, fifth, or 80th time that you've been over here. This is a YouTube channel that I revived earlier this year, and I'm very pleased to see where things are going, but I still want to keep you all abreast of kind of my plans going forward, especially as we're now in fall, and I haven't done this in a little while. So see my eyes darting back and forth between two monitors. That's because I have stuff I'm doing. I normally wear blue light protection glasses, which are right here, but they kind of like hide my eyes, so it's we'll do whatever. Anyway, as I tend to do on these channel updates, I'm gonna be playing Dorfromantik, kind of in the background, kind of in the foreground. It's a puzzle relaxing game that I've had for a while. I say relaxing, truth be told, I'm terrible at these kind of games, and it's incredibly stressful that things should feel easier here and they're not, which kind of is a nice segue into the title of this update, which is, if you look up there, work sanity balance. Kind of the story of my life lately is that things are crazy, and I don't want to say it, it's like, oh wow, remember those weird times during the pandemic where things are weird? No, I mean like cuckoo, kajoob, just bananas kind of stuff. I work in an environment where people pretend that things haven't changed and everything's back to normal, when it's definitely not. So I have a lot of responsibilities I have to take care of that don't involve this channel, but at the same time, this is a fun personal project, and there's a lot of times where you got to do something that's just for you, just to kind of keep your brain in check. So that's kind of my goal here, and that's one of the things that I really want to thank you all for, is just continuing to give feedback, whether it's positive or negative, to be honest. Just any kind of interaction at all is great. So I mean, when I look forward to like posting and stuff, wondering like, well, what content do I want to make? What do I want to go through? It's really because I enjoy just like, is this something cool that I want to share with you all? Because there's a lot of games that you all find that you all recommend me, which are exciting, and at the same time I want to be able to return the favor. So I think that's probably a good enough point to just go and do some math real quick, because we know math on YouTube is fine, it's math on Twitch that's scary as hell. So the math question, over 6,000. For those of you who may not be aware, that is a milestone I recently hit for number of subscribers, which is incredibly exciting. It's actually mostly driven by new content from this year. I've had a few sort of growth spurts. The biggest one coming from the most recent Starsector update. So if you're coming here from Starsector, yay. Also got some from Dyson Spear Program, as well as Remnants of the Precursors, which is a game that I will be returning to in the near future. But I do want to just talk a little bit about Starsector as well, because it is something that I do kind of file under evergreen content. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what that idea means, if I say something is evergreen, it doesn't mean that it's just gonna be stuck and sitting there and stagnant. Actually, quite the opposite. It's my idea of it, or the idea behind it, is that it's a kind of series where you will, if I'm gonna stress myself out and start screwing up houses while I talk about this, just bear with me. But when I say evergreen content, what I'm talking about is content for a series that's really just going to go on kind of indefinitely, because it's something that I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of. And one great example of that is the modded series for Starsector, which I have a few videos I pre-recorded because I have some more stuff I have to do, both in terms of work and in terms of other responsibilities, that mean that I really love the comments I'm getting from y'all, and I hate that sometimes it feels like I don't get to respond right away, but I promise it's because I want to put y'all's stuff into action, but I don't always see it. But when I have something like Starsector, where it's not exactly lightning in a bottle, I mean, it's been excellent for the channel growth, but once that game hits Steam, people are gonna really know about it. I want to be there. I want to be there to just sort of be kind of like what I felt like I did a lot in the early days of this channel with FTL Faster Than Light, and still kind of usher people in and say, you know what, this doesn't have to be that intimidating. I've been there before, let me help guide you through it. Which is, interestingly, for those of you who may not be aware of analytics or things like that, and I think most people probably don't give three craps about it, some of my FTL guide videos are still some of my most viewed videos on the channel. Some of my Kerbal Space Program videos. most on the channel. Now, I'm not really looking to make like a dedicated like guide series on Starsector because I don't really feel that there's as much of a demand for it, but more importantly, I don't know why this is being uncooperative. We'll just put you down here. We'll build a new farm. Build a better farm. I don't really know if there's the demand for it, and what I like to say is that I like to teach things in context, and the gold is often in the comments, and I've had some amazing people here that have given a lot of feedback, ideas, and stuff like that. So Starsector is one of those series that's really reached that status where, like, I'm going to play out the modded save, but it could be going for quite a while, just even from some stuff you haven't seen yet that will be getting posted. Yeah, this is something where it's situated to go long term, and we can fjord things now. Technically, you don't have to pronounce the J, but it's more fun if we do, and I didn't even know you could put a train track onto there. Learn new things every day. How long have I had this game again? Okay, we can't put a tree there, because that would be mean to all the trees. But when I say evergreen content, I don't mean that to discount the other content I'm making. Like, for instance, we have Flynn, Son of Crimson, which in my brain I keep wanting to put as something else. That's something that's like, well, it's fun, it's here, I've been looking forward to it, let's play it. Is it going to get the kind of views that maybe other stuff will get? No. And it's really funny looking at analytics and being like, I'm competing against people, or going right up against them for content and views that have thousands of more, tens of thousands of more subscribers than I do. And generally it goes fine. I'm not sitting here just trying to be like, break out anything. If I like something, I'll play it, but oh, what? Okay, that's the second time I've done that now. I've got to be a little more responsible for how I lay my farms in forest, apparently. I wonder if that'll work. That's probably going to be a disaster. Probably going to be a disaster. Are we sure we're still playing a relaxing city building, tile building game? They even released an update on this one previously that was like, hey, you can have sandbox mode. You're not going to have limited tiles and everything. Yeah, we're going to have some fun here in just a minute. I'm sure there's someone around cringing like, what are you even doing just dropping this stuff like this? The answer is, I don't know what I'm doing. You thought Starsector, you thought some of these other things were an anomaly. It's not. But I do have some other upcoming series in the works. Like I said, the Flynn series is exciting because it's new, but it's only part of the picture. There's some other games that I'm really looking forward to. Now, obviously, Kerbal Space Program 2 is probably my biggest, most anticipated title, but I want to focus on this year. So my biggest, most anticipated title for the end of the year is honestly Darkest Dungeon 2, which I know there's some hesitancy there from people due to it being a Epic Game Store exclusive. Wow, this is going to be the worst forest I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to love it, though, but it's going to be terrible. Let's turn around here just to make sure I'm not screwing up. Okay, we're screwing up. We're screwing it all up. But yeah, Darkest Dungeon 2. And that did just get a date for when it's actually entering early access, so that'll be exciting, and I'll be on it. But once again, I'm not sitting here just trying to set the world on fire. I want to see how different they're going to make the game and the world and how to make it work. So that's cool. Distant Worlds 2 is probably my other biggie for most anticipated game, and I have heard from the developers, not like talk to them specifically, although that's on my to-do list to be like, hey, wait a minute, I really need to get on board with trying to like do the YouTube thing and see if I can actually get earlier access to put out some earlier content for people, because Distant Worlds is a great complex game that I want to get my head around early before I start doing stuff here. But yeah, I had a train of thought there, and much like this train, it's just going back and forth and rattling around and missing a bunch of screws. But long story short is that those are probably my two that I'm looking forward to the most this year. There's a few other games that are kind of on the horizon. Eastward is another one, but it's kind of hard to commit to something like a deep RPG with all kinds of like story stuff, and apparently quest canceled. Whoops. I'm sure that could have been avoided. Just kind of like, I'm not sure why I'm losing this house. But we are. We're probably going to lose the farm on this one. No, we got it somehow. It's arbitrary. I don't know the difference. I don't know the reason. Oh god, that was a gross sound. So, like I said, long story short, Starsector, it's going to keep going. I have other games that are kind of in the pipeline. Darkest Dungeon's one that'll be coming up. And then there's another project here as well that I do want to just talk about briefly. And if you see the little analog there, it's not about a book, although it kind of is about a book, but not in the way you're thinking of. Godot. Now, some of you may be familiar with what Godot is, but I think it's better to explain this in terms of, like, yes, finally. If I explain this in terms of I don't remember what the word I'm looking for is, so let me tell you a story. For those of you who do not know, I do have kids, and they're super smart, and they test me all the time, and it's great because they keep me on my toes. Well, this is one of the kids keeping on your toes thing. You may have heard of Scratch. Scratch is a platform developed by MIT for pretty much kids to share shit online. And it's just kind of the same thing as all around. I was like, hey, look, here's people free to make stuff. It's very accessible, very buildable, things like that. One of my kids was like, I want to make a game on Scratch. I heard you could do that. So went through, found a tutorial. His sister helped out with that. And then it turns out, in not a very long amount of time at all, he has this little dragon, and it's just hopping around on the screen, and it's collecting gems, and it's very simple, and it's really just goes to one repeat loop. But it's cool because he made it, and there he is sitting there, kid that will sometimes just want to focus on just, I can't find anything I want to play, where he's just playing something that he made himself. And the cool thing about that, more than anything else, is that, oh my god, how do I put this? He's much more of a game builder than I have been this past 2 years, to be honest. I've been working kind of on the sidelines for myself, trying to learn GML. Then then GameMaker kind of dropped the bottom out a little bit and said, oh, by the way, your permanent license that you got is, we're going to change it around to be a, what they promise is that it's going to be something that's like, well, you can, if you have permanent already, it'll stay permanent. But I got this gray hair for a reason. I know how companies do this stuff. So thought to myself, you know what? GML hasn't exactly been clicking. Let me see what else is out there. And Godot, which is very similar to Python, that's something that, while I'm not great with, has always clicked a little bit better in my mind. So I've been working on learning Godot and Godot script and a lot of other stuff with there. And I've been working with other programs to try to get things together. And there's my 7-year-old kid popping a dragon around on a screen. And you're just like, this is super cool. But what about all the things that I've been meaning to work on that just, once again, what's that shit? I'm trying to point at the right part of the screen, and this is mirrored backwards. What's that shit up there? Been so focused, tied up with work, tied up with other shit, I haven't focused a lot on myself. So I do just want to go and point this out here. There's anyone who plays games or stuff has their own sort of this is my idea, this is my dream, this is what I'm thinking of. And anyone who's done any work in publishing or anything else, in terms of creativity, knows that ideas are worth shit. Everybody has ideas. So what it boils down to is very simple. I have something that I had worked on for actually over the course of 2 different stints of the National Novel Writing Month, which is actually coming again in November, although I don't know if I'm necessarily going to pull into it for that. And the cool thing is that I have a lot of shit that's already written. In fact, the goal is to write 50,000 words in a month. See if you can push that out. And let's just say I'm way over that. The problem, and I knew this as I was writing it, and I knew this as I was storyboarding it, was that the narrative structure... Oh god, I just fucked that up. Anyway, the narrative structure of doing it in a book, and in just one set narrative, didn't really work. Wasn't exactly going for what I wanted to do. Now, granted, there are such things as choose your own adventure stories and all that, where you can like make choices and everything. But the idea, the core concept of what I was doing was always like player agency. Based on what you do, the world changes, things change, stuff of that nature. I really bailed myself out. I didn't realize I was that short on tiles. Oh, damn, I need to do something with this forest or I'm probably dead anyway. But that's why I suck at this game. But yeah. So, on the one hand, I'm proud of my dad, or not proud of my dad, a proud dad for my child. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, what have you done for yourself lately? Kind of got off that horse a little bit. So I guess I'll put it this way. One of my goals for the channel coming up here in the future, as we're kind of running out of tiles, is just to really try to push myself. And one of the ways I want to push myself is to get back into doing creative things. I know Let's Playing and making videos in that sense is a creative endeavor to a point. But what I'd really like to do, other than just reach whatever this is, to unlock a special tile. Special tile. Alright, we have to unlock 70. We have to get 78 houses in 8. I don't think we're going to do it. I'll just put it like this, and I'll keep it very brief here. I'll even focus on the camera to say this right here. Is that one of two things is going to happen. Fall's coming. Fall's actually going to be really soon by the time this is posted. And I've been working to like get stuff together. So it's very simple. There's a two-way street here. I have a book that's like a third written with a bunch of shit there and a bunch of work put into it. Yeah, I know it should be more than a third written, but it could be multiple books, honestly. But the core idea of it fits better in this space on the screen. So if I can get a mock-up together, and Godot's very, very, very good about putting something together to see if you can kind of make it work. If I can get that together just based off the knowledge I've pulled together, piecemealed and everything, then I'm going to go in that direction. But it's no big deal if I can't. If it gets to like the end of the year, work is too much, parenting is too much, stress is too much. There's always stress. There's always sanity issues. If it's better for my sanity that I just stick to writing, which is by far what I'm best at compared to everything else, then you know what? I just go back to writing. And that's not a big deal. So either way, some content that'll be coming in the future will either be from a project that I'm working on in Godot or a project I'm working on in OpenOffice. And I'll have some content related either way, so that's very exciting. The last thing that I have here is this update's gone on a little bit long, and this is a really appropriate time to game over, so let's game over spectacularly. Woo! Session complete. 5,860 points. I was not trying to time that, but we do have a continuing creative mode here. I'm going to leave this up here because we're going to move on to another tile here. And that tile is actually going to be the next segue of this is the Free Play Friday Tower of Power. And for those of you who are uninitiated with this, let me just go ahead and pull it up here. Here is the terrible Tower of Power. I'm going to move my picture here real quick, just so you can see. The higher up it is on the list, the more enjoyment that it is. I have a series that I've been doing for most of the year. I don't think I've missed a lot of time. But the series that I've been doing is essentially, let's look at a game, and do we like it? We play it on Friday. And there's been some games that have turned into series. That's why I don't see them on the list. Humankind, Warsim are the two big ones. Let me go ahead and just take my stupid mug off here real quick, just so you can see this a little bit better. But yeah, Warsim, which is a series that honestly I'm a little disappointed I stopped having time to stream. When I do come back to it, I'm probably going to finish out my old save and start something shorter in length and more difficult, and maybe not try to get the wishing well in the first year. But I have a bunch of games here, and I want to give a little bit of a little bit of blurb to each of them. There's really only 2.5 games on this list that I didn't like. The first one being Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, which tried to dig into memes a little bit too much. And The Ascent, which just kind of tried to slap you over the head and say, hey, it's cyberpunk. It's beautiful. But the game itself is very shallow. It turns out that playing Diablo-style stuff in a bunch of open cyberpunk corridors is not very interesting. The Texorcist is the 0.5 there because it started off really strong. But if I'm playing a typing game, I want a typing game. I don't necessarily want to deal with mouse controls or dodging shit as well. I get it. I just don't like it. But yeah, so as we move up here, we'll talk a little bit more about enjoyment. And these rankings are pretty consistent with what I had done previously. I'll even make myself a little bit smaller here and fuck that up later for streaming. Oh, language on the channel preview that's going to be in a splash for YouTube. That's fine. Let's talk dish about a few other things here. You can't see the mouse pointer, but I can. Shadow Empire. It's a game that it takes a lot of work to get into, and while it did hook me before I was trying to get the latest update, it's just kind of fallen by the wayside because once again I have a lot of crap I'm having to learn otherwise, and there may be a time in my life where I want to play Shadow Empire later, but it's just not there right now. The Void Reigns Upon Her Heart is a fun game. It's just one that I need a little bit more time with to kind of get the idea there. It's this week's free play Friday, so I'm not trying to do it disservice. This is kind of the point, is that these are kind of down on a level on its own, but I run out of screen real estate. I like Shadow Empire. I'm just not going to be able to play it. I like The Void Reigns Upon Her Heart. It's just one that I want to get to know more. If I play it more and I go through the meta progression more, I may like it a lot better. But as you see from the video, if you've watched it, there's some concepts that are like, I'm not sure what this means, and I'm not sure if it really impacts anything, but it's cool. Fermi Paradox, strangely, is a game that I don't really know if I enjoyed it as much while playing it, but I felt compelled to keep playing it to the conclusion anyway, so bravo for getting that hook in. It is one that I'm really interested to see how it works in early access, because it is another game that is rife for potential with an emergent narrative, but man, that's going to take a lot of writing. Golftopia, still good. Daughter also really likes it, so that's cool when your kids can get interested in games that you have. Colony Ship, they already dropped another update, Unlock the Next Area. That game shows a lot of promise. Definitely one to keep an eye on if you like classic RPGs. Honestly, it does cyberpunk dystopia much better than the Ascent does. Godless was a game the only game on this list that I received a key for free from a developer, just because I thought the concept was so interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the game goes. I like the idea of combining sort of powers to get different weapons to go and try and crush civilization, because that's exciting. Going medieval, city builder, castle builder, lots of really good stuff going on there. Just turns out that it's really early in early access, and there's a lot of sort of colony-based builder, RimWorld style things that are in the same boat where it's early. You got the basics down, that's great, but I'm gonna need some more time before it moves up here to kind of get the idea of what's going on. And Atrio kind of falls into that same category of the writing's fantastic, the setting's amazing, the little thwip when you get something plugged in the back of your head, awesome. It needs some time in the oven, and I have full faith that developers are going to put the time in the oven appropriately. Monster Sanctuary apparently released on the Switch a few years ago, but hey, it's just as good then as it was now. Recently got an update. Genshin Impact. You may be surprised with hearing me talk about how much I've played it before, it being kind of in the middle of this list. Once again, it's not because it's bad that it's in the middle. It's good. It's quite good, and I think once they release a lot of updates, people are going to look and say, oh my god, this is a fully fleshed out JRPG, open world action kind of game available for free with in-game purchases. And that's great in and of itself. But I did have to knock it down a few pegs because the most recent 2.1 update and that story content felt kind of rushed and didn't have some of the polish that some of the earlier stuff did. So I have some concerns about that. So Genshin Impact and it's not just patch controversy issues. It's things like things that were previously voiced, acted in patches were not there. The way the story progressed was kind of like whoop 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 whoop. We cut out the stuff that we cut out some stuff that and just sort of let you instead of what's the saying goes, show don't tell. They did a lot of tell don't show, the Blizzard method. Switch cars, a lot of fun. It's good just to fire up from time to time and wreck shit. Dodgeball Academia is a game that I really wish I had more time to pour into because it's so much fun and it's so wacky and weird, and it's a game that people have already forgotten about. So I'll bang that drum later at the end of the year when we do this list one more time and go over overall rankings. Trials of Fire, probably the best squad-based card tile action game I've played this year, or tile combat strategic combat game I've played this year. Space Court, just silly, just fun. Another game where both of my kids wanted to play through it and played through it. Turns out my daughter is a better Space Court judge than I am because she got the best ending. You just want to send missiles at everybody and then call them off and they love you. Okay. Bloody Rally Show. There is another game coming out by this developer, and I've had my eye on it for a while. It is another spaceship colony simulator, RimWorld-esque, Space Haven-esque kind of thing. So that's a genre. It's getting a little bit crowded, but he did so good with Bloody Rally Show. I expect some really good stuff to come out of there. But yeah, then we kind of get from up here kind of the creme de la creme, which is totally not how you pronounce it. And I can't believe I just said that out loud. Dodgeball Academia I'd put up there. But yeah, these 5 and then this one at the top are kind of my top picks from what I've done so far this year, just in weeklies. And just because I haven't done a series on them doesn't mean they're bad or anything. It's just some games I just want to play once or just play on my own or be fine. Some games are like, cool, let's just do this, record it, and go. Sunshine Heavy Industries, which still, as far as I've seen, has no negative reviews on Steam. I've been able to play it a little bit more since the video that I posted. I think this was last week. Yeah, it really builds on itself, and the characters stay really good. The writing stays really funny. Mind Scanners has had some really substantive updates since it released, but it still nails that kind of WarioWare crazy. Also does cyberpunk dystopia better than the Ascent. Look at all these things that are better than the Ascent. I guess that's my theme for 2021. Is it better than the Ascent? Probably. The litter in the cat box and the little dog treats that the cats pooped out in there, better than the Ascent. Gigapocalypse also has had a not just one update that put a few more monsters out there. The developer's actually been really vocal about staying really on top of the roadmap that he set out. And that's really exciting to see. So Gigapocalypse is going places, and they're good places. Jupiter Hell, full release, actually got a publisher to pull through and do like a big push for release. And guess what? It's really good. It's really, really good. I suck at it still, but I suck at it better than I used to, and that's really good. And then Tetris Effect, what you didn't get to see in the video I did, is multiplayer. And if you want to crush your own soul and forget just how much you're not good at Tetris compared to everybody else, because you've just been playing by yourself for the past 30 years, play Tetris Effect online and lose all the time. It's like, I'm doing really good, and I lost. But yeah, Tetris Effect, still awesome. But that leads me to the top of this list, which right now is Chicory, A Colorful Tale, or Chicory as I used to pronounce it, because Chicory is actually a thing. And this is just, it is listed up higher here than all of these for a reason. And that reason is that it just stands head and shoulders above the rest. It has a lot of things that I'm looking for in it. Excellent writing, excellent music. I'm going to put my fingers up here so you see them. So you got your great writing, you got your great aesthetics, you got your music to tie it all together. You have very good setting, you have characters that you care about, and you have freaking gameplay that just matters. It's not just one that it's like, okay, you're controlling a paintbrush and everything. That by itself just kind of lays out, however. But where Chicory really shines is the fact that as you progress through the game, you continue to discover new ways that you can play with paint, with the colors, with the palette. And yeah, you can just screw around, just paint the world and stuff. I've done that with my kids plenty of time. It's a lot of fun. It's a great couch co-op game. But just the way the world builds on itself as you go through, and just sort of going through the creative process with your main protagonist character, who is not Chicory, by the way. You can name him whatever you want. I think the default's Pizza, but yeah, it's just a really good game. And if I had to recommend one game of the ones that I've done one-offs for this year, that'd be it. And that's kind of my criteria. So that's going to do it here. I'm going to go ahead and put the front splash up one more time just so we can see here. Fall Channel Update 2021. You can see Starsector. We got evergreen content that's going to be there. So expect to see more. Expect about the same clip in terms of 2 to 3 videos updating per week because work is work and I have to pay the bills. Darkest Dungeon 2 and Distant Worlds 2 are 2 things that I'm really looking forward to that should be coming out in 2021. Very exciting. And then other project, if I can nail it with Godot, we're going to do a Godot style series of like dev vlogs and stuff. And if I don't, then maybe I can talk about my failures a little bit. And then we'll do some sort of nice content that's sort of side and talks a lot more about writing process and everything. Because, like I said, just sometimes it takes having your kids to show, you know what, you shouldn't just sit there and say, well, I'll put this off to another day. I'll put this off to another day. No, sometimes you just got to take care of it for yourself. So once again, thank you all for popping in here. If you've stuck around for the whole 30 minutes. This was supposed to be only 15 minutes, but I guess that's Dorfromantik for you. Oh God, where's my thing? There's that. There we go. And let me just fix my face one more time. This is Asher. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate all of you. And we're going to do another channel update either at the end of the year, beginning of the next year. You know what? I just want you all to take care of yourselves. I'm doing my best here. Some days are better than others, but it always brightens my day to hear from you all. So take care. You all have a good one.